everybody. I am so excited about our sponsor for this month, the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. It's the Gillot Home Team and Laura Gillot. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm doing wonderful.
That is so awesome. You know, the Gillot Home Team is doing so much in real estate. Give us a snapshot of what you're up to.
Awesome. Well, last year we were able to help 551 families either buy or sell real estate. We love our community. We love our clients. Our mission is to deliver the keys to home ownership through stellar customer service, integrity, and joy. And we're looking to help even more folks this year.
That is so awesome. You know, if you want a team that is there for you, is the Gillot Home Team and Laura Gillot. And thanks so much, Laura, for your sponsorship. Good morning. Woo! We are ready to roll.
Boy, you got that right. It's another Wednesday, and it is time for the experience. And what is going on, Russ? What's going on in your world today?
Oh, there's so many good things going on. You know, you are such a blessing. We got a chat yesterday on Amazon Live. That was great.
Well, I tell you, the last 2 days, it was Amazon. It was the Prime days. And I only did one broadcast on Monday. But I bunched them all up. I had 4 broadcasts yesterday. 3 were author interviews. One of them with a guy who wrote a workbook to the companion of his book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose.
That was a good one. I hear that he is an awesome guy.
Oh, man, I tell you. And life changing, right?
Definitely changed my life.
Oh yeah, it was a full day. It was a full day broadcasting, and but I'm charged up because we have great guests today.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do.
We have a master juggler, and so anybody that puts that into their LinkedIn profile has to be on the experience.
Yeah, you know, Sejal Thakker, we were able to chat a while back, and she is incredible. And I love what she puts on her LinkedIn page. She is a chief civility officer, a chief culture officer, legal thinking or legal training ninja, TEDx speaker, and master juggler. I mean, I just love that. I think she needs to explain more about all that. So we're just going to bring her in.
Let's do it.
There she is.
Hey, Sejal.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me here today.
You bet. Wow. You bet. Hey, you know, you've got so much stuff going on. I think we're just going to start right off with saying, give us a little snapshot into where you came from and how you got to be a master juggler today.
Yeah, that's my self-proclaimed title that I added on just a few months ago, because after last year, I deserve that title. Okay, so I'm not really a juggler, but I have been juggling and I deserve that title. So homeschooling last year. So my number one priority is my son. And so we've been homeschooling him since March. And so adding that on top of running my own business and then, you know, trying to take care of my well-being. I mean, all of that. And so it was a matter of a lot of throwing everything up and hoping that nothing important falls down. So
keeping the balls in the air.
That's right. That's right.
So how old is your son?
He turns 9 in 2 weeks.
Okay. I tell you, so my son just graduated from high school. So we finished out his junior year. But at that point, he's fairly independent. And my wife is an educator, so it worked out. But your son, so he's in 5th grade or so?
He's going to be starting 4th grade.
Oh, 4th grade. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That has got to be one of the most challenging homeschooling to jump into.
You know, he's a good kid, I'll be honest. And he made it really easy. He's very go with the flow. And actually he doesn't want to go back to school. He actually enjoyed being at home. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but it's time to get back to school, you know. No, he made it really easy on me. But I know what you're saying is like there's so many people that I've been talking to. And, you know, women have been hit really hard with the homeschooling thing. And I have so many colleagues, female colleagues that have left the workforce because they are homeschooling. and if you've got a double income family and somebody needs to be at home taking care of the kids, and so it's been rough. It's been rough. So I give a shout out to all the rock star women out there that pulled through this last year.
Yeah, I know. I was actually on the other end of that because my wife works at an elementary school. She's a librarian. And so I got to see it from at the other end. And it was rough on everybody trying to figure things out and get things going and trying to get everybody engaged. But after your number one priority, which is your family, tell us a little bit about your legal stuff and everything else going on.
Sure. So I'm a licensed attorney in California. I've been licensed here since 2003. So I think when I talked to you, Russ, at that time we were talking about how I had started my own company called TrainXtra about 3.5 years ago. And the reason I started my company because as an attorney, so I specialized in employment law. And so I saw a lot of cases, and the cases that I ended up working on were sexual harassment, discrimination cases. So I saw a lot of incivility in the workplace. And I knew that I had a huge passion for training and education. And I said, by the time that I was getting called into these cases as an attorney, it was too late to really help anybody at that point. And so I always found myself educating people on what they should and shouldn't be doing anyway. And so 3.5 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So I started up my own company, and I've been providing prior to COVID, I was doing everything in person. So I was traveling everywhere, training all over the globe. And then now I'm doing everything virtually. So it's been an amazing journey. I really love, I'm blessed to be able to do the work that I do and really help create better workplaces and cultures.
And I love this, the whole ounce of prevention, right? That you're doing, because like you say, when the damage is done, wow, that's too late. But if you can prevent it, how much better?
So much better for everybody. And these times are different. I think especially after everything we've gone through in the last year and a half with having 4 generations working together, people working remotely. We're not confined in the ways that we used to, where we now are geographically limited to the job applicants we can bring in. The world it's all changed. The workplace has changed and people's priorities have changed, right? But I agree. I think we need to be more proactive and prevent these situations from happening rather than waiting till there's a complaint and then now we address the complaint because that's what we're legally required to do, which is a lot of what I was seeing out there. And also I think the other part of it too is I think we have to care about employee wellness. And so that was an area that I always struggled with. Being a defense attorney, I was able to actually create change within the employer, right? So I can go back and make recommendations like we need to train all of your employees or all of your managers because they obviously don't get it, right? So I can control some of the strings better on that side, but it just wasn't enough. And not just the supervisors, but employees, we're just not being properly supported. And so, yeah, it's a priority for everybody everywhere, even if you're remote. Right. So I just wanted to say that because I've been hearing that a lot. Well, now that everyone's remote, culture really doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh.
Culture always matters. And I think that, I commend you and applaud you for what you're doing. We talked about it before, and it's very exciting getting on the proactive end because I'm all about that. Why continue to put Band-Aids on stuff and react to everything when we can proactively make a difference in the lives of people? And that's
strategy, right?
Yeah, isn't that who we're dealing with? We're dealing with people in these businesses. It's not just a number. It's not just an employee. It's a person. And speaking of people around the globe, we're gonna just bring in Alan. Let him join the conversation. Alan Hennessy's in the house. Whoop whoop.
Hey,
hey guys. Hi all. How are y'all? How are you getting on today?
Good. Alan, all the way from
this day is only minutes old for those of us on the West Coast, which are the 3 surrounding you right now. You've had breakfast, you've had lunch, you're into tea time.
Yeah, I'm on the other end of the scale. Yeah, I'm finishing off my day today. So yeah, it's all good here. Yeah, 3:00 in Dublin. That's where I am today.
Well, Alan, speaking of caring about people, you are such a wonderful, caring man and helpful in all that you do. And I appreciate you so much. Scott and I got started in this show because of your help. And I think that you're dealing with companies all the time too, and looking at what they've got going on as far as their employees and everything you're working with the social media and the things you got going on. Let us, first of all, for those people that don't know a ton about you, which I think everybody knows you, but if they don't, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm Alan Hennessy, social media strategist, LinkedIn expert, and also podcaster. And my company is Compass Media. We provide digital marketing and digital strategies for companies around the world. And as I always say, think local, act global. And that's, I think, the key to all this, So that's what we do. And yes, and I also have this other little thing going on as well called the Global Tea Break as well, which is just a few people meet up every month, which has turned into an absolute joy and a great community to be involved with. Of course, Scott and yourself are always part of that, and it's great to be here as well. And it's an honor to be on the show. I've been watching it for the last couple of months and watching just some of the amazing people you've had on, and I'm just honored to be here today.
Yeah, well, we're honored to have you here.
I have to say that just co-hosting the Global Tea Break with you is always a highlight of the month. And we have just remarkable people come in. But then I just get to hang out with my friend Alan. So
yeah,
life is good.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. And look, I've been listening to the conversation and I think it is like, especially when it comes to employees and all of that and nurturing relationships. And I think that's so, so important. Like I always say when we're talking about marketing, your biggest asset and your secret army are your employees and your the people that work in your company, and whether that be in-house or remotely. I think it's so important because they are on the front face of everything and they are seeing what's going on. So and they're able to guide you, answer the questions that people are asking them. So why would you not and think about investing in that? And I think it's just so important.
Yeah, it is. And I first of all, I want to say that I was blessed this last Friday because Alan had some things that he had to take care of, and so I got to fill in and pretend to be Alan on the Global Tea Break and be Scott's co-host, and so that was fun. And Sejal, we're going to have to get you involved in that at the globalteabreak.com and get you in as part of that group because you would love that. But I was going to say, as far as the direct interaction and the things that you're doing, Sejal, give us a little more. Did this all kind of start with when you did your TEDx talk, or was it before that?
Yeah, no, the TEDx talk was recent. That was just, came out this year. But I started, like I said, I've been licensed in California since 2003. So I would say all of this work that I'm doing really started back there. And actually even goes before that, to be honest. The whole reason that I'm driven and I'm so passionate about the work that I'm doing is because I've, personally experienced harassment and discrimination. So I have a personal passion for social justice. And so then when I became a lawyer, it was interesting because I call it the paradox in my story, because I think if you hear my, upbringing and kind of what I went through, you would imagine that I would be defending people who were, harassed or discriminated against at work. And actually I did the opposite. I became a defense attorney. So now I got to see it from a whole nother angle. And I saw that, wow, there is a lot that we can do here. And it boiled down to, either ignorance or lack of awareness or education. And it wasn't just these evil people that were showing up to work. They were actually good people, well-intentioned people, but just didn't know how to navigate through some of the stuff that was going on. And so I've kind of been, working up to this point. But as far as starting my company goes, that was only in November of 2017.
Wow. So you got just started before COVID really got going.
Yeah.
And which gave you a little jump start, as opposed to those of us who started our companies right during COVID. But there's been a lot of blessings to that. What I like about you, Sejal, is your attitude you talk about they're really well-meaning people that are misinformed or need to be educated. And so you're approaching it from a really good standpoint right off the bat. And I think when we look at our teams or the people that we work with in a positive way, it makes such a difference. Instead of saying, "Oh, you horrible bad people, we're going to correct what you're doing."
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important, right? And I think it's all about how do we motivate people to move in the right direction, right? Whatever, we got to meet people where they are. And especially last year, we saw so much stuff come to the surface, right? And I think, I was actually just going to write a post about this on LinkedIn, is that I really have to give props to employers and leaders. I think they're getting beat up pretty hard about what they are doing and what they're not doing. But I've seen a lot of progress. And I've been in this area doing this work for a while, and I'm really seeing some good things out there. So I want everybody to know that the shift is happening. The changes are happening. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is happening. And I see it on both sides. I'm also seeing employees stretch themselves into sort of uncomfortable zones and have those difficult conversations and really put in the work, which is going to be for each and every one of us is going to have to do the work, right? To make sure that we get there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are starting to talk now. Like I think for a good while there, for a long time, people were afraid to talk and they were afraid to, express themselves or even say what's going on. And I think, especially through COVID and through the pandemic, I think in some ways that has been, I suppose, in a sense, and I know people have lost a lot of loved ones and all that, but I think it has been a blessing in some ways because it's allowed people to have conversations that they wouldn't have had maybe a year or two ago. Whereas now I think they're more inclined to be a little bit more open and we're talking. And I think that's it. And I think, as you said, Sejal, I think that just it's changing the state and changing people's state of mind and bringing them and giving them the opportunity to do this, I think has helped on both sides, whether that be employees or senior management or whatever it is, but they're opening up. And I think that is key to the success of not just business, a life in general, I think, is to be able to do that,
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. I'll jump back in. So every time I think I'm talking too much, there you go. I try to. So I was going to say that, one thing that I think is key in all of our approach is attitude and the positive way that we look at situations. And Sejal, you are in, a very dynamic situation a lot of times in the things you're doing, but it's such a needed area where people realize that somebody cares about improving the situations. And, we are all better together. And when we work together and we make a difference, that's the one thing that I really am always stressing. In fact, I've got a workshop today, my Purpose to Profit workshop, that's got a whole section on listening, encouraging, and working together as a team and how that makes people so much better in the long run. Working with people and looking at these challenges and maybe difficulties or even problems we have within companies or things as opportunities to learn and grow. And you talked about that. Some of these severe issues that people deal with are opportunities to grow and learn and change, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what led up to my doing that TEDx talk. Honestly, Russ, was that when I was doing the training and I was talking about that topic of bias, for example, right? It's like the minute I would say that word in these trainings, people would shut down, like they would disconnect from the conversation right away, even though it's an issue that I believe prevents us unless we understand it individually and collectively, that we can't move towards inclusion, right? We just can't get there until we do the work ourselves. And so what I started doing in my training, and this is all about just how we frame things, like going back to framing that, how do I include everybody in the room into this conversation? And I kept asking myself that. So what I started doing in my training is I started replacing the word bias with the word belief.
Oh,
So I would
nice.
do your unconscious beliefs. And now everybody was curious. Everybody wanted to understand how their brain worked and how these, things, how these hidden beliefs can impact, our interactions, and not even realizing how quickly it works. And so I started really seeing a difference, and it was impactful in the training that I was doing. And that's, that was really where I got inspired even more to do that TEDx talk, because I realized that, hey, if we could spread this information to people and normalize that conversation, then it's really about just us empowering people, but people then feeling empowered and knowing how to understand their own hidden biases or beliefs, because that's the only way we can get there. And so again, going back to what Alan was saying, it's on both sides. Employers need to empower their employees, and employees need to feel empowered, like they're a part of the solution. And so we're looking at the dynamics from a whole different perspective, and most organizations are not, to be honest. I mean, there were maybe some organizations that prior to COVID, that were attempting to do that, and they're good, that's not, there are a lot of places with good culture, right? But not in this sort of paradigm way. We're looking at it totally different now, and you have to do this work. And so I always just encourage everybody that's watching, just start with yourself.
Yeah, Sejal, I love this thought, because the words that we use do make a difference.
You do.
And so if we think about those words and kind of the baggage, right, that goes with them, and how it's been maybe corrupted over time.
Yeah.
And then substituting that word, and all of a sudden it just opens up a whole new opportunity for conversation. And so beliefs, this is really good. And what I'm thinking is do you have an exercise, or is there something that people can do that we could do, as people watching the experience or us here, to help us look inside and understand what are the beliefs that I have that help and those that hurt?
Yeah, great. And so I would urge everybody to watch my TEDx talk. I literally think that if you have a brain, you need to watch my TEDx talk. I'm going to just say that, because that's what the talk is about, right? It's about your brain. So before I give you those couple of tools to help, right? Let me just say bias is normal. It's every single one of us. That's why I say that if you have a brain, you have bias, right? So I will call it unconscious beliefs, just so that anybody listening, so I can keep them with me here. But it's normal. And so it's a part of who we are. It's not about trying to get rid of it. It's about understanding it. So then you could put simple strategies in place to help you mitigate it. But the first step is awareness, right? So unless you make that commitment to learn about your own, I think scientists have found that there's over 200 different kinds of cognitive bias. Okay. So we just have to figure out what our own are. And so I talk about, why awareness is the first step. So in my talk, I give strategies for mitigating it. But what I'm going to tell you right now is what we can all do, like literally right now, start doing to understand what those hidden beliefs are, right? So first of all, there's an online tool called Implicit Association Test. I don't like calling it a test. It's not like a pass or fail. You got over this and you pass on to the next level. It's not like that. It's broken out into different sections. It's free, so we love free. It's online. It's broken out into different sections like race, national origin, religion, section, just all these different categories. And you answer these questions. And then it'll tell you areas of potential bias. So when we see two things, we're going to lean in one direction. We're going to have a preference for something, right? That's just how we're wired. And so that's what it tells you. And that's powerful information to learn about yourself. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. Like I said, it's normal. But what that means is now you're empowered. You have all this information. So when you're making important decisions, like who to hire, who to promote, who to be friends with, you're not writing, you're taking those things into consideration when you're making these important decisions. So implicit association test is one tool. And a second one that's so easy is to ask somebody. So here's the thing about unconscious beliefs, right? They're unconscious to us, but they come out in our actions, our words, in the tone of our voice, in our body language. Those beliefs show themselves, right? Every day in everything we do. And some of this stuff happens in the blink of an eye, but it comes out. So if you ask somebody, like, seems like the three of you know each other pretty well, right? You can just ask each other, hey, when you've seen me make some important decisions in my life, have I been biased in any of those? You know, there's the experiment, right? Live experiment right there. You can just ask each other, and the person, if they truly care about you, right? Not the person who's just kind of trying to tell you what you want to hear, but the person that truly cares about you will say, yeah, I've noticed that you, when you're making these decisions, you lean in this way, right? Immediately. And so those are two tools right there. And then just third is just to start observing. When you're meeting people, are you having like a huge negative reaction towards their person right away? Or a negative, a positive or negative, right? And just start paying attention to those, because we do this. We see somebody and then we make all these judgments about them without even knowing them. And so as you start observing your thought patterns and you start picking up on that, you'll be surprised at all the reactions you're having, right? You're like, wow, I didn't even know I thought that, right? But that's an important step. So those are 3 tools right there that can help.
I love that, because I was just going to say, I had a professor in college that he admitted that he had these beliefs, bias, or prejudices even, really, but he was aware of them. But he said, but I cannot afford to let that get in the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Alan,
you were conscious bias, right? That's conscious bias. That's when you're aware of it. Because once you do this work, you'll start becoming aware of it, right? And that's what you want. You want to know that you're consciously, whatever behaviors or actions you're taking, you're doing it because that's what you believe consciously, not unconsciously. Because as you do this work, you realize that a lot of your unconscious beliefs are actually the opposite of your conscious beliefs, the exact opposite, right? So you want to become aware of them, so then you can make sure you're acting appropriately with your current beliefs. Yeah,
I think a lot of it is, and I agree with everything you've said there. But I also think that, you know, a lot of people, when they are talking to others, that they're not listening. They're actually not listening, because they're thinking of what is it the next thing they're going to say, or what is it that I'm going to get out of this, or what is it that I have to do in an hour's time, or whatever. So they're not actually listening to the conversation. And like, I've studied NLP, and like that, now I sit, and when that person talks, I listen, and I listen intently, because I'm wanting to know about them. Plus, as well, it also shows that I am interested in hearing what they're saying, and it's not all about me. And I think that in itself is a bias, because I think we need to have that shift, and where we start to say, right, I'm in the moment, and I'm here, and I'm listening to you, and you are the most important person in my world at this time. And when you start doing that, you start to hear a lot more, but you also start to see a lot more. Yeah. Because you become more conscious of the person and what they're doing. And I think that's, you know, it's a huge part of what we're talking about here today.
Yeah, and that's a great strategy to mitigate it, right? I mean, excellent. And I think it's important, that pause and getting to know somebody and taking the time and being present, so important. And again, we haven't had last year forced us all to do that, right? I mean, think about, I was just looking at my phone this 2 days ago and looking at all the connections. These are all people I met last year. There weren't many people in there besides like family, you know, that were from prior to that. And it's because last year we really took that time to do what Alan's talking about, is getting to know people.
And a great thing as well there is, and it's something that I've learned, a friend of mine started to do it, when we have this habit of having that uncomfortable silence. Oh, I have to say something. You actually don't have to say something. A friend of mine actually does it. And the first few times that I started talking to him, I'd ask him a question, and he would literally go quiet for a few seconds, and then he would answer it. And I'd be sort of saying to myself, did he hear me? Or is he just ignoring me? And I actually had to say it to him, and I said, why do you go quiet? And he says, because I'm just taking in what you said, and I'm going to give you the right response that I want to give you. I'm not going to rush that I have to just answer this immediately. And I think that's something that people can do as well, is, you know, that uncomfortable. Sometimes silence is golden, and silence can be good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, I completely agree with what you guys are talking about, and being super intentional about how we approach things is so important, because those things don't come naturally. Our favorite topic is ourselves. So people talk about themselves too much, and many of us have a fear of silence. So if there's too much silence, we have to jump in and talk. And so these are things we have to overcome, and you need to really pay attention to people. Pay attention and show that you care by listening. And this has been so awesome, but I have to be the bad guy and tell you that we are already over time, but we've had such a great discussion. I didn't want to cut it off. So I wanted to give you each last moment to say a last few words and give us your contact information today as we wrap things up. So Sejal, let's go with you first.
So thank you so much. This was such a pleasure being here with all three of you. What a great conversation. The time totally flew by. And I knew that after I talked to you, Russ. I knew we were going to have a great conversation. So thank you so much for, if you want to get in touch with me, I'm the only platform I'm really on is LinkedIn. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. I really, truly go out of my way to post content that's positive, that's inspiring, that's real, that's going to, provide resources, because I just think we need more people to use social media for positive and really create the positive movements we want. And also I would appreciate if you can watch my TEDx talk and share it with your networks. It's really important that we, educate people on what bias is and how we can make a difference in our lives and our communities and hopefully the world, right? So thank you again.
Excellent. Yeah, and I will definitely make sure and connect to that information. And I appreciate all that you do. That's why you and I get along so well, because you're so positive. So, okay, Alan.
How do you get in contact with me? Just just type in Alan Hennessy in Google and you'll find me anywhere. No, the easiest way to get in contact with me, guys, is through the website compassmedia.ie, and similar, I would be a big LinkedIn person, so that's where you'll always find me. You'll find me at LinkedIn, and do reach out and connect with me, or on Twitter as well. I'm on all the other networks, but where you will always find me is either LinkedIn or on Twitter as well, and just search for Compass Media or Alan Hennessy and you'll find me there, and happy to connect. And make sure that you let me know that you see me here on the Experience with Russ and Scott. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
You're so awesome. Well, we appreciate both of you more than you know. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. We're going to have to do this again soon. Appreciate you both. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap things up and send you both to the green room for just a minute. And so hang tight and we'll see you in just a moment. Thank you.
Time always goes much too fast. But I tell you that the conversation with Sejal and Alan, what a blessing this morning. And to have the two together, because marketing, in many cases, we think it's about pushing information out, but it really is a lot about listening. And then you're going to have your workshop this afternoon, and you're going to be helping teach people learn just what we talked about in the experience today.
That's right. I mean, because that is such a crucial part of everything that we do. I really, truly believe it. And if we want to operate from purpose, be more productive, and be more profitable in our businesses, we have to listen to our team members, and we have to listen to our customers and listen to people in general. So I just think that's so important. So anyway, well, listen, everybody, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We love the Experience of Life and the wonderful, outstanding people we get to talk to every week. So if you're watching this on replay, like I know a lot of you do, please share this with a friend, share this with people, and let them know the amazing conversations we have here on the Experience. And until we talk again, have a great day and a great life.
Enjoy the experience.